Do you ever find yourself lost in a constant whirlwind of thoughts, overanalyzing every small detail of yesterday, fearing the uncertainty of tomorrow, or drowning in the endless noise of your own mind? If so, you're far from alone. In fact, overthinking is a shared struggle among many people, and yet it's one that can be conquered with the wisdom of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics, from Marcus Aurelius to Seneca, have long recognized the damage that overthinking can do, not only to our mental peace, but to our ability to take action and lead a meaningful life. In this video, we delve into 7 transformative lessons from Stoic philosophy designed to help you break free from the chains of overthinking and find a path to clarity, purpose, and action. The first lesson begins with the realization that overthinking is a form of resistance to reality. When we endlessly analyze situations or obsess over potential outcomes, we distance ourselves from the present moment. And in doing so, we rob ourselves of the clarity and power we need to move forward. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that much of our suffering comes from how we choose to perceive events, not the events themselves. The second lesson introduces the idea of controlling what you can and letting go of what you cannot. Stoicism teaches us that our power lies only in our ability to control our own actions, thoughts, and responses. By focusing on the things within our control and accepting what is outside of it, we are freed from the paralyzing grip of uncertainty. This leads us to the third lesson, the importance of accepting imperfection. Overthinking often stems from a deep-rooted desire for things to be perfect, but this desire is a trap. Perfection is an illusion that keeps us from taking action. The Stoics taught that embracing imperfection and progress is the path to true fulfillment. The fourth lesson revolves around practicing mindfulness and detachment from outcomes. Seneca urges us to focus on our actions rather than fixating on the results. By detaching ourselves from specific outcomes, we can give our best effort without fear of failure or disappointment. The fifth lesson is about living in accordance with nature. The Stoics remind us that life is a series of natural cycles, and resisting them only causes more suffering. Overthinking often arises from our attempt to control things that are outside our control. By aligning ourselves with the flow of life, we can find peace and ease in the present moment. The sixth lesson addresses the power of reflection. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of journaling as a way to reflect on our thoughts and actions. In doing so, we gain insight into the patterns of our mind and break free from the grip of overthinking. Finally, the seventh lesson is about taking action despite fear. Overthinking often paralyzes us, preventing us from moving forward. The Stoics teach us that action, even in the face of uncertainty, is the key to overcoming overthinking. By taking small steps forward, we regain our sense of control and purpose. These 7 lessons, rooted in Stoic philosophy, are not just abstract ideas. They are practical tools that we can apply every day to stop overthinking, embrace the present, and lead a more intentional, fulfilling life. So, if you find yourself caught in the grip of overanalysis, take a deep breath, pause, and remind yourself of these lessons. Shift your focus from the endless noise of your thoughts to the clarity of action, from the fear of imperfection to the freedom of progress, and from the burden of control to the serenity of acceptance. In doing so, you will find that overthinking no longer holds power over you, and you can move forward with confidence, clarity, and purpose. As you journey through the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy, it's impossible not to recognize the profound relevance it holds in our modern lives. We live in an era where overthinking has become not just a personal struggle, but a collective experience. We analyze, we dissect, we scrutinize every moment and every interaction until we are paralyzed by the very thoughts meant to guide us. And in this cycle, we forget the simplicity of life, the beauty of being present, and the profound power of accepting what we cannot control. Yet, as we've seen, the Stoics weren't simply philosophers. They were practical guides to a better, more meaningful life. The lessons they imparted were not designed for intellectual contemplation alone. They were meant to be lived. When Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus spoke of overcoming adversity, they didn't just write from the comfort of their own ivory towers. They wrote from the trenches of life, from places of political turmoil, personal hardship, and existential uncertainty. And through their words, they showed us how to free ourselves from the shackles of overthinking that prevent us from living fully. Overthinking, in its essence, is the mind's attempt to control the uncontrollable. It's the compulsion to constantly analyze, to anticipate every possible outcome, to prepare for every possible failure. But in this frantic effort, we miss the most important truth, that life is unpredictable. It flows, it ebbs, and no matter how hard we try, we cannot bend it to our will. Stoicism teaches us the importance of accepting this fact, not as a surrender, but as an embrace of reality, a deep and respectful recognition that there is a vast world beyond our control. When Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the impediment to action advances action, what stands in the way becomes the way, he is pointing us toward the fundamental idea that our obstacles, when approached with the right mindset, can become our greatest teachers. Overthinking often magnifies these obstacles, making them seem insurmountable. It leads us to focus on what we cannot change instead of what we can. But by shifting our perspective, by recognizing that challenges are part of the natural order, we allow ourselves the freedom to act without hesitation, to move forward without fear. One of the most transformative lessons from Stoicism is the idea of focusing only on what we can control and accepting what we cannot. This simple yet profound shift in mindset can break the cycle of overthinking. When we let go of the need to control every outcome, every detail, we free ourselves to focus on the present moment, the only moment in which true power lies. We cannot predict the future, nor can we change the past. The only thing we can do is act in the present, with intention, clarity, and purpose. Seneca's teachings on the importance of reflection offer another powerful antidote to overthinking. He encourages us to take time each day to reflect on our actions, our thoughts, and our emotions. But this reflection is not about obsessing over past mistakes or rehashing every decision we made. Rather, it's about understanding our patterns, learning from our experiences, and moving forward with greater awareness. Reflection, in this context, becomes a tool for growth rather than a trap for self-criticism. It allows us to recognize when we are falling into the patterns of overthinking and gently steer ourselves back to the present moment, to the reality of what is within our control. The art of living in accordance with nature is another cornerstone of Stoic philosophy that helps us transcend the cycle of overthinking. Nature, with all its unpredictability and chaos, moves forward without hesitation. It does not dwell on the past or fret about the future. It simply is. The Stoics remind us that we too are part of this natural flow. By aligning ourselves with nature, we can learn to flow with life rather than resist it. This doesn't mean we abandon our goals or ambitions. On the contrary, it means that we approach them with a sense of grace and flexibility, knowing that the outcome is not in our hands, but the effort is. Living in the present is the antidote to overthinking. Overthinking often pulls us out of the present moment, trapping us in the past or future. But the Stoics remind us that the present is the only reality we can truly experience. By focusing on the present moment, we step out of the cycle of worry and fear. We give ourselves permission to simply be, to breathe, to act. When we stop overanalyzing every step, we find that our actions become more natural, more intuitive, and more in tune with our true selves. In a world that constantly demands more from us, more productivity, more perfection, more control, it's easy to forget the power of imperfection. Overthinking often stems from a desire for perfection, the belief that everything must be just right before we can move forward. But as the Stoics teach us, perfection is an illusion. Life is messy, unpredictable, and imperfect, and that's okay. In fact, it's in the imperfections that we find growth, resilience, and strength. We learn from our mistakes, we adapt to new circumstances, and we evolve. By embracing imperfection, we release ourselves from the prison of overthinking and open ourselves to the freedom of progress. But perhaps the most profound lesson from Stoicism is the power of detachment. Detachment, in the Stoic sense, is not about apathy or indifference. It's about releasing our attachment to outcomes, to external circumstances, to things we cannot control. It's about focusing on the process, the journey, and the effort, rather than obsessing over the destination. When we detach from outcomes, we free ourselves from the anxiety that comes with overthinking. We become more focused, more present, and more capable of embracing the ebb and flow of life without being weighed down by the fear of failure or the need for validation. The Stoics understood that overthinking is a form of mental slavery. It binds us to the illusion that we can control the uncontrollable, that we can predict the future, that we can bend life to our will. But the truth, as the Stoics teach us, is that we cannot control the world around us. We can only control how we respond to it. And in that control lies our true power. As you take these lessons into your own life, remember that overcoming overthinking is not about achieving perfection or never having doubts. It's about recognizing when your thoughts are taking over, when you're caught in the endless spiral, and choosing to step back and regain your clarity. It's about shifting from analysis to action, from fear to courage, from paralysis to movement. It's about embracing life as it comes, with all its uncertainty and imperfection, and trusting that by living with intention and purpose, you will find peace. In the end, the path to overcoming overthinking is not a destination, but a practice, a daily commitment to live more fully in the present, to act with purpose, and to embrace the flow of life as it unfolds. The Stoic lessons we've explored here are not just ancient wisdom. They are practical tools that can transform your life today. So, take a moment to reflect on the lessons we've shared, breathe deeply, and remember that you are in control of your thoughts, your actions, and your life. With the power of Stoic philosophy, you can break free from the chains of overthinking and live a life of peace, clarity, and purpose.